Hey guys, well, I'm Morgan.
And it's the one and only Kiera Simone.
And welcome to At the End of the Day. Today's topic at hand, we're going to discuss our community, pedophilia, and of course, R.Kelly.
Gotta discuss R.Kelly because I don't understand why he keeps getting let out of prison. Like, who's paying these $100,000 bonds?
And why though? Like,
R.Kelly
just why? But anywho, we're going to go ahead and get started and just look at the history. First thing we're going to look at is like the history of how our community views children.
That's the first thing.
And how they hypersexualize children. So when we look at like black girls, we were talking about like a few weeks ago how black girls are so unprotected in our society. Mm-hmm. And we look at like the hypersexualization of black girls. It's like, can't go outside in the summer with anything that goes above your ankles because it's like, there's grown men around. Can't wear your hair a particular way because if it's long, that means you're fast tail. That means you want everybody to look at you.
Mm-hmm.
Can't.
Let's not forget always having your mom telling you if you have male company coming over that you need to put on clothes. Like, say you have on, like, I remember like having on like nightgowns and stuff, and if we have male company over, they'll be like, you need to put some clothes on. And I don't even think it's like, and it is crazy because I don't even think we as black people realize that we do stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. We're conditioning.
It's like we're conditioning ourselves to like not dumb down, but like
be ready.
Fit into this category and be ready just for anything that goes wrong. And it's sad because like now you have girls who can't experience being a girl fully because we're afraid that something might happen, or we're already putting them in a category like, okay, I don't want my child to be fast, so I'm gonna just go ahead and make sure that she do this, then third, so she won't be. But it's just like you can't do that because you're conditioning them already, and it's sad.
And it's also very telling if you have to change when the company comes over. What type of company are you bringing into your house? Do you not like look at people and it's just like, okay, yeah. Because people within their own families, they know like, okay, this person right here, keep them away from your children, but you let them come to your house. You let them come at Thanksgiving. You let them be around all the kids. You let them work inside churches all around all the kids.
Because let's not forget, we didn't have this problem in my family, but you know, we have many black families that are around who have molesters, child molesters, and rapists that still come to family cookouts, and let's not act like the victims aren't there as well. And then we as black people sometimes
and then tell them, go give them a hug.
Yeah, and then we as black people try to sweep that up under the rug. Like, no, that's not okay. Like, if somebody is touching on somebody, you need to let somebody know. Do you watch Greenleaf?
Yes. Girl, yes.
I was like, do you watch Greenleaf?
So happy somebody else watches it.
I just started watching it. I'm on like episode 5, but that is like the perfect example. Like, Mark was touching on her, and then like nobody believed her, and then it led to her suicide. Like, and I feel like that's a problem in the black community. Like, we try to take up, well, no, that didn't happen. Try to push it up.
We have too many black men in prison. Innocent, yes. Some guilty ones you need to go in.
Exactly. And it's just like, and like you said, like I feel like black girls sometimes aren't given the proper opportunity to explore. Like, it's hard being a girl. And then it's already hard being a girl as it is. Then you're trying to explore your femininity, and then you can't do that fully because you're being stunted at a point. It's just like, no, you can't do that. No, you'll be considered too fast. No, you won't do that. And then, granted, some stuff is a little too grown for girls, but some things are just natural. And another thing that I don't like, it's that the black community does sometimes, is girls who develop very fast.
Yes, I was thinking about
girls
that.
Who develop fast. Like, she can't help that her body, like that's biology. We can't help science. Like, we can't help that she develops too fast, and then that's also not her fault that she developed too fast. Now, if a grown man gets sexually aroused by a little girl,
that's a problem.
That's not her fault. That is all of his fault. And as black people, we need to realize that is not her fault. That is his fault.
And it's most definitely not normal. And also, it's just like when we go out, it doesn't matter what we wear, what we have on. It's like, oh, but she look grown, her body look grown. You can go inside the grocery store by yourself, and people won't say anything about it, like a grown man who's like a grandfather age, 60, 70, 50.
You know, making sexual remarks at a teenager.
Nobody's following her around.
Like nobody, I feel like nobody says anything about that, but it'd be so fast. Well, look what you got on. It doesn't matter what a woman has on, how old she is, or none of that. A man should not be aroused by a child. I don't care what she has on. A man should not seek arousal in a child. And I don't want to hear none of this. Well, she was dressed like this, so I thought she was this. You can look at 9 times out of 10. You can
somebody's face.
You can look dead in somebody's face and tell how old they are. I don't care. If somebody looks 12, you can look at certain facial features of a person and tell how old, or not even, you can't of course tell their exact age, but you can tell what age realm they're around. Okay? And it's just ignorant to me that people be like, well, she looked like she was this age, and she looked like she was this age, so I thought she was this age. And she told me, look. So, and a lot of these men need to start doing their research on these little girls too. I don't care what she told you. You need to figure it out.
And honestly, it's just like, when are you going to take accountability for yourself?
Exactly.
Like, oh, that's what I assumed, I guess.
She told me she was 15 when I met her once in a dark club.
Like what?
What? That's so. She told you she was 15 one time. You just ran with it. She told you not 15, 18. I'm sorry.
15. That's bad.
That's bad. I'm sorry. 15 is bad. She told you she was 18 once in a club. Like you didn't even get to see her good. It's crazy as a whole, and I don't know. We as black people have to do better when it comes to just protecting black girls as a whole. Cause it's scary being a woman, but it's even scarier being a black woman. I don't think people realize that, like, what type of actual fears we have. It's legit fearful. Especially, and that's why I tell my friends, like, don't go nowhere by yourself. If you do,
sad we have to do that.
Like you can't even go nowhere freely without having to tell somebody, because there's so much that goes on in the world.
Take a picture of somebody's driver's license if you're going on a date, license plate. You gotta turn your location on, send it. Like my mom, she has my parents on, like, most people's phone plans. You can track a number. And they have it turned on, like, just in case something happens. And that's horrible. We have to be like that. Like, I can track your location, so if you ever need me, I can just turn it on, turn it off.
It's ridiculous.
And another sad thing is people who pull up to high schools. You graduated in 2007. What you got going up there in 2019? You don't have siblings that go to the high school.
That's a big thing. Like, if you graduated 3 years ago, you should not be dating a sophomore. Like, that's out of the question. And I feel like people don't even take stuff like that into consideration. Well, no, sweetheart, you're grown, you're graduated. Let's get somebody your own age.
They can't get nobody their own age, because that's a manipulative person. If somebody is the type of person that want to go, if they're grown, go into a high school, try to recruit people to be their girlfriend or whatever, and they're probably not even the only person if someone's doing all that, but they do that so that way they can manipulate someone. They tell them, like, oh, you grown, you so mature for your age,
exactly.
I thought you were this. Like, no, you saw a victim, you saw somebody, and you made him a victim.
Because let's not act like a lot of the girls that do kind of fall victim to older men aren't girls who have been through traumatic experience. Not saying every last one of them have, but like, you got to look at some girls and look at their background, look at their past, and why they flock to why they not flock, but why they get into certain situations. Because a lot of this stuff is psychology.
It really is, because manipulation is just so easy. You just, like, first you gas somebody up, and then you just, like, it's just very subtle things, like, do this, do that, do this, do that. And
then at that point it becomes a routine. And then when it becomes a routine, it's so easy to maneuver through it. Like,
and then they isolate you.
It's easy to manipulate somebody. It's easy to manipulate not saying a weak-minded person, but like, if somebody doesn't have like a strong foundation or background, or they've been through enough that can make them vulnerable, that can make them such a vulnerable person, then it's easy to manipulate. Everybody knows it's easy to manipulate vulnerability. That's one of the top things to manipulate.
And they look for, like, spots, especially with young girls. It's like you leave in middle school, going through puberty, you don't feel like I'm pretty, and you have someone's like, oh, you're so beautiful, you're all this, you're all that. Like,
you got somebody telling you, you have girls who have, a lot of girls who go through confidence issues or low self-esteem that fall victim to a lot of these situations. You have a lot of those girls who fall in those situations, because it's like, You have to realize, like, she's not used to that type of attention. And now she's getting it. And then she's getting it from somebody who's way older than her. Mm-hmm. Of course she's going to go run with that. Of course she is. So let's flip the switch from girls. Let's talk about the boys.
Yes. One thing that is so annoying is that, like, frequently in our society, people, like, tell boys, like, you know, oh, he a virgin? Oh, my God. And you're, like, 11? Oh, my God. Like, you're supposed to be. You're 11. And we were talking about, like, yesterday was, like, grown people who prey on teenage boys.
Yes, because let's not act like, I know plenty of boys who told me, like, they lost their virginity at 14 to a woman who was, like, 20, 22. And, like, that's normal to them. Like,
that's not okay.
Like, that's normal. Like, I lost my virginity to somebody. And so, at that point, that plays on nothing of vulnerability. Like, I'm a 14-year-old boy, and then a grown woman want to, you know, have sex with me. Of course, a boy at that age is going to take that opportunity. So I think a lot of people don't realize how the roles can be reversed, and boys can also be played on with their emotions and their vulnerability as well, just as much as girls can. And then also with boys, like, you have to realize how they're raised. Like, a lot of boys aren't raised with, like, emotions and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like, a lot of boys are taught, you're a boy, you're not supposed to do this. You're a boy, you're not supposed to do that. Mm-hmm. You're a boy, you're not supposed to cry. You're a boy, you're not supposed to have emotions. And it's sad because it's just like, they're humans. Like, how do we
expect someone to, like, go on
life without having emotions? Yeah. Like, he is granted, he's a man, and we know as a man he's supposed to be a protector, a provider, but he's also a human. Why is he not allowed to have emotions? And that's a thing that plays into how boys grow up and how they maneuver through life, because they're seen as, like, these superior creatures who don't go through anything, who don't feel through anything. So of course they're gonna go around doing stuff that they're not supposed to be doing, because it's really never been no, especially boys who, you have a lot of boys who've never had repercussions for their actions. Mm-hmm. Like, if a man has never had repercussions for his actions, he is dangerous.
And also, people are, like, taught not to have any repercussions. Mm-hmm. Like, you can go ahead and just do this, do that, do that. And also, another thing with boys is that the difference between, like, how people raise black boys, black girls, they teach boys to be hypersexual at a young age. They tell girls to repress any form of sexuality. Period.
That's a big thing.
It's really scary because every now and then, especially, like, barbecue season during the summer, you'll see videos of, like, grown men and women grinding on children. And it's not even like, oh, he has a baby face. You can tell it's a child, because sometimes it's like a 4-year-old and he's worked on. Sometimes it's like a toddler and they look completely disgusted. Sometimes the child might look like, oh, he's quote unquote into it, but they're really not. They're just mimicking the behavior that they've been shown.
And that plays into that sort of kind of, to me, plays into double standards, because you wouldn't want your daughter dancing on a grown man, so why would you want your son dancing on a grown woman? At some point, like, I don't want to cuss, but stuff like that kind of low-key disgusts me, because it's just like,
how are you as a person okay with this?
How are you as a parent okay with that? I just feel like children should not be sexualized at all, regardless of gender, like, don't try to over-sexualize a boy and then try to, pin back or push back a girl's sexuality. Like, you don't need to sexualize children at all. And then when they get to the age that, you know, sex becomes a topic, then that's when you bring up certain things and then you talk about, you discuss it. But I feel like sometimes boys can get over sexualized, and then they use the term, well, he's a boy.
Yeah, because sometimes grown women will walk up to, like, little boys like, oh, you're just so handsome. I would freeze myself so that way I can marry you. It's like, that's weird. That's not normal. You need to find someone your own age. Granted, I know that it might be, like, hard to find people around the Atlanta area, but
it's really not.
It's not.
It's really not.
You gotta go outside.
You have to go outside your comfort zone. Like, and I don't
maybe go to the country.
You know, at some, you know, if you can't find, I don't know, just
that's just nasty.
And certain stuff, to me, in my opinion, is like is disgusting.
Because, you know, if, like, a grown man went up to a little girl and was like, wow, I want to marry you, I want you to be my wife. It's like, hold on.
And then we deem that as a problem.
But if a woman does it to a little boy, it's like, oh, it's fine.
Oh, it's fine.
That's not right. Okay. Oh, and another thing people really used to do on Twitter was they used to like sexualize celebrity kids, like Blue Ivy. They're like Blue Ivy, Chris Brown's daughter, royalty, and Northwest. So like, which one's gonna grow up to be a thot? And it's like their children. That's so.
That's and then this is another reason, and this kind of goes into like another topic, but it's still kind of staying on topic. That's why I do not follow the Shade Room.
Girl,
that is one reason why I do not follow the Shade Room, because the Shade Room purposely does stuff like that. The Shade Room purposely posts children and stuff, and then it leads people. So and then it leads people in the comments to sexualize them. Because I'm not for sexualizing children under any circumstances. Like a child and sex should not be in the same sentence under any circumstance. That we should not be discussing the child and their child's sexuality. I don't care. I don't care what they act like. I don't care what they do.
Or how they dress.
Or
how their parents dress them.
I don't care about any of that. Sexuality in a child should not be discussed, because at that point you're taking away, because I feel like you're taking that away from them, because
you're taking their innocence.
Because you're taking their innocence, and like sexuality, that's something that comes from within. That's something like that person has to look for within themselves. So and that's another thing that I don't like when it comes to little boys. Oh, he's gay. He is 6. What are you talking about?
So what? He likes to play with Barbies.
He is 6. He is 6. What are you talking about? Especially because at that point they haven't explored their sexuality to even have that.
As far as they're concerned, they're just playing with toys.
And then, like, people try to say, like, oh, he's gay because of his mannerisms. Like, he hasn't even fully explored every mannerism that he has. And then most of the time, they don't even realize it. So, to me,
up from people they
they pick up from the ages from, 1 to, 8. You're doing what you see. So I just feel like to deem a child's sexuality, first of all, to give a child their sexuality is wrong, and it's low-key disgusting, because it's just like you're gonna take that part away from them. So you're just gonna deem them gay because of how somebody acts at 6. Like, come on. At some point we have to cut that out completely, and that just goes back to the Shade Room and social media in general, because social media plays such a big part in stuff like that, to me, in sexualizing children. I just feel like children's sexualization should never go in the same sentence, should never be in the same phrases. Like, let's just let kids be kids, because when you start throwing stuff like that on them, then it makes them be grown faster than what they are.
Or force them to accommodate how people view them.
Force them to do that, because like what I don't like, and this kind of goes back to the boys and sexuality, like I feel like sometimes we as black people, we just automatically assume somebody's gay because of the way they act, and that's so ignorant to me. Like, because he acts like this, he's gay. No, if he didn't come out his mouth and tell you he was gay, or he didn't do anything sexual with the man, then he is not gay. Leave these people alone. Like, that junk is annoying and it's irritating, because sexuality is already hard enough in the black community as it is. It's hard enough it's hard enough for people who actually are, of that community to come out, and then you're sitting here making fun of it. So it's just like, leave these people alone. Like, until he is fully ready to explore his sexuality, or even if he is gay and you think he is, until he's ready to come out and tell you, let's not bring that up around him. Like, just let kids be kids and let kids explore on their own, because when you don't allow kids to explore, that's what creates problems. When you just don't let kids be kids, like, it's just being a kid and just growing up. That's how you explore certain things. That's how you figure out who you are. But if you're already putting titles on them they didn't even want, or they didn't create, or they don't even know of, how are they supposed to fully grow as a human? That's just my whole thing with it. Like, just let kids be kids and let kids figure out. Of course we have to guide kids and push them in the right direction, but it's just a way that you do it's a certain way that you do everything. That's my whole thing.
And also sometimes kids, they try to like compensate for the titles people give them, but they're also compensating because they might have been abused. I know for like some guys that I know personally, some guys I've like seen on like TV, they talk about struggling with their sexuality, or girls struggling with their sexuality because they might have been molested by a woman or a man, or a boy might have been molested by a woman or a man, and so they don't like, from a young age, they're just like, is this like what I'm attracting? Is that like my sexuality? Is that who I am? And then you have people, and they're just like, what you're talking about, slapping titles on them. Because sometimes some boys, they're just like, I don't like boys. Do I like girls? They're like, well, this guy did this to me, or this woman did this to me, and they're just like, because they don't know. Because
we have to realize that a part of them, especially if that happened to them while they were young, a part of their innocence was taken. Because like I don't know anybody else's opinion on this. This is my opinion. I just feel like once you have sex, a part of your innocence is gone. You're no longer pure anymore. And if somebody stole that from you, imagine having to deal with something like that.
It's damaging to your psyche.
It's damaging to you, like somebody stole a piece of my innocence, especially if you're at a young age. Like somebody, like you didn't get to make that choice for yourself. Somebody took that from you. And that's, like you said, that's damaging to you psychologically, and it's damaging to you to something emotionally compared to somebody who had, got to make that choice for themselves. But once that's taken away from you, it's just like, okay, so what do I do now?
Because it's like, it's a power thing. Whenever people do stuff to children, it's like a whole power. Because anything somebody does to somebody that's like sexually violent, it's a power thing. So whenever somebody does that to a child, they're taking their power away from that child. So like their decisions to like do whatever that they want to do, every time that occurs, it just feel like the power is taken from them. And so as we like get older and whatnot, they should be able to reclaim their power with being able to deem themselves or describe themselves the way that they see fit.
And doing that, and if people don't realize that's a hard process. Like to regain your power from somebody that took it. Like I feel like that is such, because I've never been through anything like that. So I'm just speaking from what I see. I feel like that is something extremely hard to do, and that's why like we have to protect our kids. Like we have to protect our kids, because not only is like a child being sexually abused something that's hard to deal with, but like we said before, that's psychologically and emotionally damaging. So like as Black people, we have to protect our kids, and like, so if a child comes to you and tells you such and such
believe them, like,
such and
they're not
such
gonna make that up.
Like it's like, oh, such and such is touching me, da 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 da, and then it's just like, no, he didn't. Like, are you kidding me?
Who makes that stuff up?
Like, who would go? Like that has to be a sick individual to go around making that stuff up. Like, who would do something like? Who would go to that length? As prevalent and as big as social media is today, and we see the repercussion that goes on when it comes to sexual abuse, why would somebody go around and make that stuff up?
I knew one girl in kindergarten who lied about it. That girl was crazy.
Exactly. Like, I feel like for somebody to lie about something like that, something has to be like wrong with them. So that's why I feel like when somebody tells you that they've been sexually abused, that you need to believe them. And then I couldn't imagine like being sexually abused and me telling somebody and then they don't believe me.
Or they tell you to be quiet and keep it to yourself.
Or they tell you to be quiet and keep it to yourself, and then still having to be around that person. It's plenty of people to this day who have to look their abuser in their face every time they have to go to a family event. And I just couldn't imagine, like...
That's a lot of pain.
I just couldn't imagine that type of pain. Like, it's like you stole my innocence. You damaged me psychologically. You damaged me mentally. And then I have to still look you in your face. And we still have to act like one big, happy, jolly family. Like that, I'm telling you, if my child ever come to me, Lord, if my child ever come to me...
Go to the police first.
No, I'm gonna handle it myself. Like, That's why, and that's another thing why you can't let anybody around your children.
That's something
Black
else.
people, I feel like black people, like,
they just assume and start like, oh, you go over there. They seem nice.
my mama did not play that just going over any. Mama did not play going over any of everybody's house. Mama did not play anybody coming around me or my brother. And like, I feel like black people just let anybody around their kids sometimes.
And that's another like issue. Like, people are like, oh, I gotta take everybody in, because most time a lot of stuff happens at like people's grandparents' house. I know, like, when we used to go to my grandma's house, my grandma's one of those community people, and she used to like bring everybody in. And so like whenever my parents went over there, my dad would just be like, all right, if I leave the room, y'all leave the room. If y'all go to the bathroom, I'm going to stand outside the door. That's the type of thing that we had. Like, the babies, like when my brother and sister were little, they always be like right by my mom. Whenever me and my brother would be out on the patio, my dad would be right out there. Like, we ain't going nowhere out of sight. Like, if we're out of sight, they're going to start yelling our name, like, oh, I'm right here. And, like, me being a child at the time, I'm just like, as a child, I felt like a child because I was allowed to be a child. So, like, seeing all that, I'm just like, they're just being extra. But now I'm just like, oh.
Now you realize, like, no, you can't go over their house. I don't know nothing about them. I need to talk to her mama. I need to figure out. Because you never know what, because we don't, because you really don't know what goes on in people's households. You don't know what goes on in people's households. And that's why I encourage black people to, like, not let any, like, I understand you got to do this, I understand you got to do that. But stop letting everybody take care and watch your child, and stop leaving your child with just anybody because of who you think they are. A lot of people leave people with their kids because of who they think that person is. You need to know these people well enough. Like, I'm telling you, when I get ready to have my kids, everybody is not gonna be around my kids. I'm sorry. People let some of anybody around their kids, and then you see these outrageous news stories about people babysitters abusing the child, and oh.
And sometimes it's family.
And let's not act like some of these women with these no good boyfriends.
Or sometimes it's like your biological parent or someone you're biologically related to. Because I remember this story. I was watching Larry Reid Live. You know him on YouTube? No. I like his videos. They're still long, but I really like his videos. But it was this church up in like New York, New Hampshire, that area, tri-state area. And so the young lady, she told her aunt, because she stopped eating for a few days, her aunt asked her what was going on. And so she said from the time her mom died to up to that point, her father had been molesting her. That was 6 years. And it, like, the whole story was just sad because her mom, when she was alive, did everything in her power. Her mom and her uncle made everything in her power to make sure the little girl could never go over to her dad. But as soon as she died, all of the orders for protection were taken out. When someone's dead, you can't have an order of protection because they're dead. And so he took advantage of that, and he's been abusing her and her sister. And it's like they're trying to get the whole church shut down. It's so sad. It's horrible whenever you hear like that's happening with someone and their biological parent, because it's like you have to protect yourself from someone you thought was going to protect you.
Exactly. All that stuff just makes me feel away because I have so many young people in my family, and I just couldn't imagine like somebody doing that to them, or like somebody being around me and like they do that to kids like that. It's just a level of sickness. Like, that's sick to me. Like, you're gonna sexually abuse a child, you're a grown person. Like, that is sick to me on more levels than one. Like,
that's horrible. That's just so scary.
It's disgusting. I can't even get words out.
And also another thing, it's like horrible for people who don't really have time to be around their kids because they're always working, and so they wind up having to give their children over to like a babysitter because everyone's like, oh, he's a good babysitter, or she's a good babysitter,
and come to find out they're not.
They need to go get their face pounded in on the pavement. That's the type of person they are, and that's just horrible. And it's just like we have to find ways that we can protect our children and
our black children. I feel like black children, like, not saying white kids don't go through stuff, because I know they do, and I know, like, you know, they get abused too, but it's a level of protection that we need to place on our black kids.
Yes, people make so many excuses.
People make so many excuses as there should be no excuse for sexual abuse. There is no excuse. Like, you're a sick individual and you need to go to jail. You need
help while you're in jail.
And you need help while you're in jail. And that's and that's another thing. People, like, just as much as these people need to be in jail, up under the jail, y'all, we need to get help for these people. I know, like, that may sound crazy, but obviously it's a chemical imbalance. It is a chemical imbalance if he is a sexual predator for kids, it is something wrong with him, and he or she needs help. Because I'm glad you brought that up, because just as much as a man can be a pedophile, a woman can be one too. And I think we as people don't even like understand that. But yes, like, these people need to be helped. And I'm not saying like let's line up on the side of the road and have Dr. Phil come interview them, but you know, if they're in prison, then somebody needs to just like they need just as much as they're in prison, they need to start their prison time, and while they're in prison, they need psychological help, because it's obviously a chemical imbalance in their heads. In my opinion, something got to be wrong.
And also,
because you should not find arousal in children. I'm sorry to cut you off.
It's okay. A lot of abusers, they start off as victims,
so
it's like a repeated cycle. And it's like a generational curse where through every generation you see someone and they've been abused and they become the abuser. Like, the victim becomes the abuser instead of them getting the help they need, they become the abuser. And that's like that. You hear that so many times. You hear that with like a lot of celebrities. Like somebody who talks too much. I like her, but Keke Palmer. Yes. She was talking about how she was molested as a child. Then she talked about how another female relative got molested as a child by the same person. Then she talked about someone else inside her family got molested by the same person. It's like, who is this person? Are they in prison? Are they dead? It's sad. And also another person who this happened to, our hot topic at hand, who will continuously be a hot topic, is R.Kelly. He was, according to his brother, they were both molested by their older sister. And as we all see, he has this fetish, I guess, for young ladies. And it's like
sickening.
It is sickening and it's disgusting. But like, as you see, like the way all the girls, they talk about the way he abuses them, it kind of like the way he seeks power over them. He's trying to reclaim that power that was taken from him
as a child.
Yeah. But then also, from my understanding, his brother said they were molested by both their older brother, the one that was on the documentary, who's in prison, who needs to stay in prison.
He's just as sick as R.Kelly is too.
That was his older brother is very interesting.
He's just as sick as he's ew. It's just
and just and I don't know how we can really go with him, but it's just they were failed as children.
They were failed, and they were very much failed as children. And wasn't the oldest sister molested too, though?
She probably was.
Wasn't she molested too?
Because they weren't all that far apart inside of age.
I just think that the whole R. Kelly's, the way I view this situation is, you have to blame, literally everybody is to blame in this situation except the victims. Because how on God's green earth are you going to give your child to a grown man? How you going to give your child?
I'm going to send you a link to a YouTube video that explains like everything, because it's honestly a human trafficking ring.
Yep.
It's not even just like, there's like one parent you can actually say like most definitely gay, allegedly. Allegedly. We're not getting sued for anything. Allegedly gave her child, in the documentary, Dominique. Apparently.
I didn't even watch all 3 parts because the first 2 parts were disgusting. Because
the last part was just
because the first 2, the reason why I didn't watch the 3rd part, because of course the documentary was in chronological order. So the first 2 parts happened between like 1995 and 2008 or 9. But for me to watch the 3rd part, because the 3rd part is literally what's going on right now.
That was
like the third part is what's going on. The third part is everything that's happened in the last 3 or 4 years.
That was completely scary and just very disgusting because it's just like they were doing this. They were filming this a couple months ago. Like this is going on now. And I was watching a YouTube video by Lady Tasha K. Some people they're just like she's lying, but she had a video that came out before the documentary. And everything she said was exactly what they said inside the documentary. So I'm like, okay, this lady is not lying. And she had a couple of videos a few weeks ago, which I watched, and it's just like, wow, because she talks to the parents, and she really gets a background on each and every girl. And also the people who give up the girls and whatnot, who keep all the girls, who keep in track. And unfortunately, a lot of people around him are women.
It's just, speaking of that, let's not act like it's a woman that keeps bailing him out on these $100,000 bonds.
Yes.
Let's not act like it's a woman that keeps bailing him out on these $100,000 bonds. These bonds are ridiculous amounts of money, and I don't know where she's getting this money from, but I need for them to find out.
Oh, you know what's sad? The lady who everyone said owned the preschool, she didn't own the preschool. Her mom owned the preschool. She put up the preschool that was inside of her mother's name to bail him out.
As collateral.
Yes. And so
how you gonna put up your mama's school for collateral for a child pedophile?
And now her mama losing money. I would be so mad. Apparently her whole family done turned their back on her, and I'm like,
I would too, because the thing what I was saying before was this whole R.Kelly situation bothers me because it's so many adults that were helping him. Because let's not act like R.Kelly is illiterate. R.Kelly cannot read. R.Kelly cannot write. He is illiterate. All he can do is sing. R.Kelly is illiterate, so he has people that is helping him orchestrate, and so you have people that know that you are filming sex acts with little girls, and they know it, and they're helping you. And then let's not act like these girls' parents aren't shipping them off. You mean to tell me your 17-year-old, you just let your 17-year-old daughter go with a grown man in a whole nother state? It was one girl that was from like Florida, and her parents sent her to Chicago with R.Kelly.
Oh, that one is just because technically a lot of that stuff that happened went through like other people, and they were all lied to. So you know how she was on CBS in the morning. She was like, I tried to kill myself because my parents tried to force me to sing, and that wasn't true. So what happened in order how she met him, she tried to kill herself because of her ex-boyfriend was cheating on her. Then for therapy, the doctor said that she should be around music since she likes being around music. So her parents bought her Funk Fest tickets. And there was a huge lineup of people. And it just so happened he was a special guest. Like, it wasn't actually announced beforehand that he came out, and he was just a special guest. And so what happened was they were all there together, and so he pulled her out from the audience. And he gave her a number, and then
she told him to call him, right?
Yeah, but her mom took it and called it, and that was a fake number. And he got her number, and he was like FaceTiming her when you can't text people when you can't read. So that's how all that stuff went down. And then basically she went back to school the following week, and then oh my gosh, let me make sure I got all this in order. She went to school, then she left school early to audition. That's when she slept with him, and that's basically like her parents found out she left school early. She got mad, told her parents that she needed to work with them for her career, and basically that's when he already planted that seed of manipulation, because she was already an easy grab. Because
you have to look at a lot of these girls' background. Like I said, he plays on their vulnerability. If you look at a lot of these girls' backgrounds, a lot of them have been through so much.
If you talking to someone who just tried to attempt suicide, that's like an easy grab. Because it's like, oh, you wanted to leave this earth. You're easy.
So let me go ahead and grab you. You know, this man was he was 30 when he was sleeping with Aaliyah? She was 15?
Yeah. So you know how he's broke? Her family owns his music rights. Like the Hottons, they own his music rights.
Of course they do.
That's why they never with public or press charges. They own all his music rights. So everything that comes out, they're making the money off of. And
I feel like the Hottons have I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I feel like they are hiding something.
They're most definitely hiding.
I feel like they're I feel like what they're hiding could tear the earth in half. Like, I just feel like they are hiding something. I just feel like they are in this whole situation. I just feel like something is being hidden. I've always felt like that because, like, think about the impact Aaliyah had while she was alive. Like, why don't y'all release none of her music?
Oh, actually, another thing which I finally found out, which I'm so happy about. The reason why is because her uncle, Barry Hankinson, who also introduced Aaliyah to R.Kelly when she was 12, cough, cough, he already knew about his problem. And he already knew Aaliyah wanted to do music, cough, cough. So he decided to, cough, cough, introduce his 12-year-old niece to a pedophile.
Yep.
So, you know, 12 Play, he most definitely was talking about 12-year-old. But side note, he owns all her music, and so he takes it off of her, JoJo, and a few other people. They're never going to have their first 2 albums, their original first 2 albums put out. Every few years, somebody does it for the culture, but
he did it for that era.
Yeah.
R. Kelly is just a sick, like, individual, like.
And then let's talk about all the people around him. Because
every single person around R. Kelly needs to go to jail. I don't care. They need to go to jail just as much as he needs to go to jail. They need to go to jail too.
That's why everyone's like fessing up. Because you know that one guy, he's like, me and my wife, we found in the attic an old tape of R. Kelly with a child. First and foremost, you going to jail. How stupid do you think people are? How do you magically have a tape of somebody in your attic and they live in Pennsylvania?
First of all,
how did you get the tape? How much did you pay for the tape? And you've had this tape for this many years? We know you're watching it. Nasty.
People are sickening. It's sick.
And it just sounds like a whole human trafficking ring. Boy, like they have people stored up. They don't let girls talk to each other. How they break people down.
How they had them girls in that house. Or they couldn't come out the room. He wouldn't let them eat. Like,
that's a whole manipulation tactic. Because you don't get somebody food, they're real just broken down. Because honestly, when I don't eat, I'm just like, I'm not me. You're not you and you're hungry.
You're not you and you're hungry. Get a Snicker bar. Like, ew. Like, how do you find, like, ew. Like, even, and then what's crazy is, like, the only legal relationship he had was with his wife. But then when he married his wife was 19 and he was, like, 37.
Yeah.
So even that right there was sickening alone. And then he manipulated her because if you watch the documentary, like, he was like, they got married in a hotel room and he bought her dress for her. And they got married in a hotel room, and then that was it. She had
no input.
And she had no input. None of their family was there. And that was just it.
Also, another sad thing is, like, her brother worked with him for a few years. So it's like, you don't want your sister? Well, maybe he was in on it. Because some people, they're so blinded by fame and notoriety. They're just
fame, like, notoriety. And let's think about R. Kelly at the height of his career. Let's think about R. Kelly at the heights. I'm talking about TP2. Let's think about R. Kelly when he was here. How much fame and power he had. R. Kelly was running so many charts. He had gospel music. He had pop music. He had hip hop music. He was working with every type of artist you could think of. R. Kelly's musical
mindset is like
rap sheet is extensive, and it's also impressive.
Especially for someone who's black.
Especially for somebody who's
during that time period.
Because you have to imagine, R. Kelly was at the height of his career when there was no social media. I mean, there was social media, but it wasn't as prevalent as it is now. So think about how much power and control R. Kelly had over the black, not over the black community, but over the world. Like, you have a black man from Chicago working with Celine Dion. With Celine Dion, Mariah Carey, local artists, big artists. Michael Jackson, like.
Michael Jordan, he wrote the freaking theme song
for Space Jam.
We sang that in our kindergarten graduation.
Like, come on. Like, so think about how much power he had, and think about him having that much power and you being a 14-year-old girl, and he's telling you he's going to make you a star.
Like, okay, yeah, I can see this.
Like, he's gonna be like, cause think about how much pull R. Kelly actually had back then.
It was something serious.
It was something serious. So if you're 14 years old and the man tells you, like, look, I can make you a star, why wouldn't she go? And but then you also look at the girls and what they've been through. So not only he played with these girls' dreams, but he played with their vulnerability as well, and that's how he got them.
So like they would inside the documentary, they would talk about like things they told him. He's just like, oh yeah, me too. I did this. This happened to me. Talk about stuff that happened to him. Because whenever these girls, he really shared with them serious information within himself. Like he talked about stuff that happened to him when he was younger. He talked about like the fact that he couldn't even read and all that. And so like to them, like at 14, it's just like, oh wow, I have a real relationship. All that before the first hit happens, or the first punch in the face, first time you've been denied food. It's just sad.
And then people were literally like introducing their children to him. Like, what's her name? Sparkle?
Oh, okay. So she went in detail about that. She met him. I gotta send you a link to that too. It's just so much stuff. So she introduced her family members, like her uncle, not like her sister. What is that noise?
It's like a dinghy. I don't know what that is.
Is that this? Okay. So is that me? What? I don't. Okay. Maybe it's this.
I don't know. Keep going.
So her sister and her husband, her brother-in-law, the girl who was on that tape, she introduced them, not the child, but them. And then like a few years later, he recruited her brother-in-law to be inside of his band. And that's when they were having like not like a skate night. They were at a bowling alley. And that's when her brother-in-law introduced his daughter to him. And so that's when like, and then he was like, oh, they want to be she wants to be a rapper. They're inside of a rap group together. That's when he was like, oh, you gonna come to the studio. And that's like when she was like inside the movie that she heard her niece was going to be in the studio along with him. That's when she came down. And everybody, the way it sounded, it was like she took her down there, but she was told that she was down there. And so she told people to go get her before she came. And so that's when, because she actually stopped working with him for a few years. Around that time period, she had cut business ties with him because he tried to make moves on her.
That's just not somebody I would. That's just not somebody that I would want around my family at all.
Like,
I wouldn't want that type of energy, that type of person. He's just a sick individual. I want a burger, but anyway, I do. He's just a sick individual. Like, I don't understand how somebody that ignorant can be that manipulative. But then once again, you have to remember all the people that were helping him.
It's a lot of people. It's a lot of women. And a lot of people go to prison, okay? And a lot of people are guilty by association. And what else?
Everybody needs to go to jail. That's just my whole opinion. Like, everybody just needs to go to jail. Like, because y'all are assisting a pedophile.
I think some of the parents don't need to go to prison because they were just clueless. They didn't know what was going on. Like Jocelyn Savage, her dad said that she got introduced inside of a boutique, but it turns out like she was actually going to his concerts trying to get his attention. Like, she is where she is because she wants to be.
I'm just still a bit flabbergasted. A bit flabbergasted is an understatement. But my whole thing with this R.Kelly situation is this woman that I cannot get over this woman keep bailing this man out of jail.
There's so many of them. It's just like
R. Kelly, for him not to be able to read, for him to be ignorant and illiterate, he has a team so strong behind him that is for all this disgustingness that he's doing. It's disgusting. Like, so we're just gonna keep allowing him to keep doing what he's doing. Let's not act like those girls that got interviewed. I didn't watch the interview, but the two girls that were interviewed by Gayle King, as irate as he was acting, they were just acting as irate as he was. I'm just like, okay, so y'all rehearsed this.
They picked up on his mannerisms. They have his exact mannerisms.
I'm talking about she was showing off. And then another thing that was really crazy, I was looking on Twitter, and they was like, they were analyzing her nails.
Yes,
they were analyzing
her nails of an old lady.
Like, they were analyzing her nails, and they was like, what 19-year-old girl wears nails like this? And I was just like, Wow, I didn't even think about that. And the way she was dressed, and the way the way her
the
hair,
makeup,
like it was
the roller set, and then the makeup was so 90s. I mean,
like,
it's pretty, but you know.
And then they had on those clothes, they had on those long cardigans and those blocks. I'm just like, what do they have on? You can tell that like he is manipulating. Like it's like he made them look like not nuns, but like freaking 90, 80-year-old women. Like you can tell that like
that's what he likes. He's stuck in the 90s. With the way they're dressed, they're stuck in the 90s. You look at the way some of his public appearances, he's just like a 15-year-old boy.
And it's you can tell like what type of you can just look at them and tell what type of manipulation he has over these girls, and just what he continues to do to people, and the fact, and it's still sickening. And then this whole R. Kelly situation ties back to what we talked about at the beginning, how we're still blaming the girls.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if I was 12 years old, I ain't had no being and it's just like, what? So we're gonna keep blaming victims for a grown man's actions. Mm-hmm. We're gonna keep blaming the 14-year-old girl. Now, granted, maybe she didn't have no business down there, but he was a 40-year-old man talking to a 15-year-old girl.
He was picking girls up at the mall. That's back then. That's when everybody was at the mall. That's when all the teenagers leave school and go straight to the mall. So they were where they were supposed to be. Him, on the other hand,
was not supposed to be in the mall at 2 o'clock in the afternoon looking for children. Because let's be real, that's what he was doing. He was in the mall looking for kids. Mm-hmm. And we're not going to act like that's not what he was doing.
A lot of people do that too. Oh my gosh.
It's sickening, and it's sickening. And she was being fast. And he wasn't being a pedophile.
Exactly. Like,
we're not going to act like they... R. Kelly's not a pedophile, and even if you do blame the parents, R. Kelly is still a pedophile.
He is.
He is still a pedophile. He's still a child. He's still a pedophile.
Still a manipulator.
He's still a manipulator. He's still a sexual abuser, and he needs to go to jail. And I don't understand. And if I was that girl mama and she put up my preschool, I would disown her. Period. You gonna put up
I'll whoop you too.
You gonna put up my preschool as collateral for bail money for a pedophile, and not only a pedophile, but a well-known pedophile. Like at this point,
it's documented.
At this point, it's documented. Even if none of the other stories were true, which we know they are, we still have this 40-year-old man on tape urinating on a child. Mm-hmm. We still have that on tape, so it doesn't matter. R. Kelly is a pedophile, and you put up your mama's school to get a pedophile out of jail. I wish I would. When I tell you I wish I would. I would. Ain't no way I still be breathing. Ain't no way.
Or out in public, be hiding somewhere, like, when mom be coming for you, like, hello.
Ain't no way. When I tell you, ain't no way. Ain't no. I'm just, child.
Her mom's losing money too. Like, that's just so sad.
That wasn't even her preschool to be doing that. I thought that was her preschool.
That's what I thought too, but come to find out, it's her mama's school.
And her mama not even with all that. How would it look for me to send my child to a preschool that bailed out a pedophile?
Like, oh no, that means the pedophile's worth there. That's what your mom will automatically jump to. It's like, I gotta protect mine. Goodbye. I'm running. But this rabbit hole is deep.
It's very deep.
The reason he keeps getting out and keeps getting just opportunities just to manipulate people and abuse people is because he's not the only one who's using these girls. Mm-hmm. It's a whole human trafficking. What we talked about earlier, it sounds like a human trafficking ring. It most definitely is a human trafficking ring. And he's just going to crumble the whole music industry. If they take him down, let's jump to another topic. I hate how they wait to take people down when you can't make money off of them no more.
That's basically what it is. What is R. Kelly gonna do?
Because he's not making money like he used to.
He's not making money. Nobody's paying to go see it. I mean, some people are paying to go see an R. Kelly concert, but R. Kelly is not making money how he used to. Mm-hmm. Let's be real. He's not making money like how he used to. You're not gonna get a sold out R. Kelly. I mean, you may get a sold out R. Kelly concert, but it's not gonna be like a huge venue. R. Kelly's not gonna sell out Phillips Arena by itself
at all. I wouldn't go on tour. And people that go on tour with him, they pretty much confirm everything. He rents out floors. Neo after the documentary, YouTube started recommending all these old stuff, all these old interviews to me. And so, like, I clicked on it, and it's like, Neo's like, well, I went on tour with him, and I left early because he took up the whole backstage, and me and my dancers, my band, we all had, in the backup singers, had to share one dressing room. Because he took up the entire back room. So, like, all the dressing rooms and whatnot. And then, like, when he was on stage, nobody was allowed to move. So, it's like, what are you hiding? Or are you bringing that many people? You hiding something.
You're hiding something.
Because that's how I used to transport all the girls.
Because those girls, like, just looking at the documentary, he took those girls everywhere. Like, those girls were not to be left out of his sight. He did his wife like that, too, though. Like, they were not to be left. They were not to be out of his sight. He is a master manipulator.
I'm very interested to see how all this goes.
I'm very intrigued to see how this plays out.
Even if he doesn't.
Because the money gonna run dry in a minute. The money that lady keep using to bail him out is gonna run dry in a minute. Because R.Kelly's not producing any revenue anymore.
He's not.
He's not producing any revenue anymore.
Except for from all the songs he's written.
Okay.
And it's a lot.
It's a lot. You know, that's about the only thing I can think that he's producing revenue for. But R.Kelly can't pay child support anymore. And then, like, countries are, like, banning him now.
Yeah.
Countries are, like, I don't think, can he...
Dubai? He's banned in Dubai.
He's banned in Dubai. Like, can he even perform in the U.S. anywhere?
He probably can. There's always somebody in their grandma's like, I'm going to pay to go see some R.Kelly.
It's always a loophole. But, like, R.Kelly's not... He wasn't making money to start off with, and then this just made it worse. But, you know, like I said, I don't feel bad because he's a pedophile. He's a pedophile, a master manipulator, and an abuser. So, I really don't care. Because at the end of the day, Step in the Name of Love will not be played at my wedding.
At all. Somebody try to request him, like, turn it off.
Not at my wedding. No. But we will not be placing dollars in a pedophile's pocket. That's one thing I can't get down with. Like,
or abusive people.
Abuse, pedophilia, sexual abuse, I can't. It's because there's no leeway with that. Because either you did it or you didn't. And you did it. And
we got proof.
And we got proof that you did it. He should have been canceled when that video dropped to him urinating on that little girl.
He should have been canceled when
that Aaliyah. It should have been canceled in 94, 93?
4.
Okay.
Yeah.
He should have been canceled then. But now we have plenty of proof, and that's just what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
I'm just gonna watch this whole thing and just hope and pray that these girls get the help they need, because this is just.
And those girls that he still has gets to go home. Because those girls are brainwashed at this point.
They need to go be checked into like a mental health facility and just get all the help they need.
Get all the help that they need. Exactly.
Well, that seems like that's it for this episode at the end of the day. Thank you for tuning in for this special hour-long podcast.
I think this hour-long podcast was really cool.
Yes, me too.
Okay. Like I said, this is the end of the day. At the end of the day, this is the one I only care Simone.
And I'm Morgan.
Signing off.
Bye.